I have this to say to the modern young girl, gentlemen. Be free. Express yourself. Take your life in your own hands and mold it. The world will try to rob you of your freedom, but fight for it. It's all you have to live for. That's all for the modern girl, gentlemen. What else? Ask me anything.
Hi everyone, welcome back to That's All for the Modern Girl. My name is Caitlin and I'm so happy to have you. Hello. Okay, there's just like one piece of hair. Okay, whatever. I'm just popping on here to say that I'm sorry I'm not doing my normal introduction to the video. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. That's All for the Modern Girl. But I just was short for time and I did not have time to sit down and film the intro and outro. This was already a much delayed video. So bear with me while I just voice over through most of this, but I'm just popping on to say hello. And also I did have dental work done today, so I don't know if I sound a little strange. I think it's just I have like a little bit of like a lisp or a slur happening right now, just based off of some healing that's happening. So apologies for that, and hi and bye. Today we are jumping into the final video featuring Eleanor Parker in our Highlights of Hollywood Heroines series, and I am so excited for this video. If you haven't caught the other two, I highly suggest you go and take a look at those first. I'm going to go ahead and link them in the description below. We are going to be jumping into today's video with an inspired look by Eleanor Parker that I'm going to be putting together from beginning to end from what turned out to be fitted sheet. That's right. And not your typical, typical sheet that you would get. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is a fitted sheet is obviously not the ideal candidate for transforming into something for a sewing project, but here we are. It just so happens that the fitted sheet ticked all of the boxes off when it came to what I was looking for in fabric. So here we are. You'll hear a little bit more about the fitted sheet in a moment, but for now, let me go ahead and share with you all these photos which are inspiring today's look. From what I can gather, these are photos of Eleanor Parker, probably from, I don't know, maybe the mid-50s, late 50s, somewhere in that range. But anyways, it was from these two photos where she is wearing different dresses but in similar styles that I decided to take inspiration for this final project. And while I'm doing that, I would love to share with you all this lovely story about Eleanor Parker that was written by Marilyn Monroe in the early 1950s. In fact, this story is the reason why I chose Eleanor to be a part of this series. Eleanor Parker and Marilyn Monroe. What brings these two names together? Well, it all comes down to a photoplay article that was written by Marilyn Monroe in November of 1952. The title of the article is "I Want Women to Like Me," and it's just all the more heartbreaking knowing what we know about Marilyn's life and just the incredible trials and challenges, that's the same thing, difficulties that she experienced in her life, and knowing how misunderstood she was by so many. So let's find out what all of this has to do with Eleanor Parker. In Marilyn's words, here we go. I want women to like me. I've just come to realize that. I think I came to realize that I want women friends when I discovered by accident that I had one whom I barely knew. Her name is Eleanor Parker, and I think she is the most beautiful girl in Hollywood. It was at a party one night recently after I'd finished work on the picture Monkey Business. As I started into the powder room, I heard my name under discussion. It was just like that old crack about eavesdroppers. I stopped cold. I certainly didn't hear anything good said about me. One girl was knocking my clothes. Another was hammering my manners and other things. I stood there, dying, just outside the half-open door, not knowing whether I should burst into the powder room or run out on the party. Then I heard a third voice, serenely and lovely. "But do you know Marilyn?" asked the voice. "Have you really met her? The moment you do, you'll know that most of the things said about her are false." I walked in then to see who was speaking. Eleanor Parker's eyes met mine, and she smiled, like one best friend greeting another. "Hello, Marilyn," she said. "How nice you look tonight." I gulped. "Thank you," I said. The other two cats left hurriedly, and as the doors closed on them, I could feel the tears stinging against my eyelids. The truth was that Eleanor Parker and I had never exchanged a word before that moment, except "How do you do?" as we had been introduced to one another earlier that same evening. Now I fumbled for words. I'm not much of a word girl anyhow, because the best way to talk to men, of course, is to listen. Finally, I said, "I honestly don't know how to thank you." "Let's be friends," Eleanor said. "That's payment enough for me." From there, Marilyn recounts the early experiences in her life that made her stay clear of other people and to stick really to just being by herself. And then she comes back to this experience again at the party. But, and it is an amazing discovery, I find with a certain degree of success that I can't be the kind of lone wolf I used to be. Up until now, I felt that as long as I harmed no other person and lived within the bounds of good taste, I could do pretty much as I pleased. But I find that isn't really true. There's a thing called society that you have to enter into, and society is run by women. Until now, I've never known one thing about typical feminine activities. I've never been to an all-feminine luncheon. All I know about cooking is how to broil a fine steak and make a good salad. That, you see, is all any man wants for dinner, particularly if you give him something chocolate for dessert. I don't sew, I don't garden, but now that I see a gentle woman, and you can read that both ways and still be right, like Eleanor Parker in action, I'm beginning to realize I'm missing something. Now, just to clarify, from here on out, there isn't any proof or instances showing that Eleanor and Marilyn became close friends. What I wanted to highlight here is that they weren't great friends, and here Eleanor stood up for a stranger, someone that she hardly knew but surely had heard gossip about. And instead of joining in or staying silent and being complicit to these naysayers, she spoke up for her. And so that brings us to the call to action for this video. We've all heard about people talking badly about someone behind their back, but what if we did what Eleanor did with Marilyn and we talk good about someone behind their back? And I encourage you to do just that, and I'm going to do the same. In fact, let's start it up in the comments below. Why don't you drop a comment about somebody you know who is fantastic and share with us why it is that they are so lovely. We'd love to hear. I would love to hear. Let's get going and let's talk good about people behind their backs. Alright, so I'm now walking out of there with 3 different sheets. 2 are gorgeous that I found at the thrift store, and then I popped over to a Goodwill that was nearby and was able to find the shade of blue that I was looking for the actual inspired dress that I'm trying to make for Eleanor Parker. So here's what we got. So here is the blue sheet that I just got at Goodwill for $2.99. And here are the beautiful sheets that were not on today's list, but I mean, look at that. And it's 100% cotton. It's gorgeous. And this one too. This one just really stole my heart. Look at the detail. And I think it's a little bit hard to tell, but there it is. You can see it has a little gentle pattern of polka dots as well. I might be making 2 dresses. Beautiful. I think it would be a lovely Easter dress. Also kind of pays homage to Marilyn Monroe because she was always wearing whites and creams. So it might be fun to do like a twin set of dresses. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. We'll see.
The next day.
To sit down in your arms, I want to hold you till we see the light.
The 2 patterns that I picked out to create this dress was the Loretta Young pattern on the left and this 1940s house robe on the right. The idea was to use the Loretta Young pleats and then the neckline from the 1940s pattern. This is not my favorite pattern in the whole world, but I found that I ended up needing it and ultimately took the bodice from this to create the dress.
Emil says, well, if you'd excuse me.
I don't know. The other thing that I have to consider, in addition to whether or not this center seam is going to show, is if by taking out some of these pleats and putting in my own pleats, is the skirt still going to fit me, or is it going to be too big? Do you want to tell her, or should I? It's going to be too big. Moving on, here is the entire skirt all sewn together and the pleats pinned into place. You'll notice that there's this glaring center seam that I really disliked. It is a part of the actual skirt piece. It's the directions that are in the Loretta Young pattern. But the last time that I made this, I used a really heavily patterned fabric, so it was not noticeable. This, however, was. Ultimately, I decided to remove that center seam later on in this video, which you'll see, and I found a different solution, which I was pretty happy about. But for now, it stays this way. Okay, so something to know about this entire project, and I really don't know where to say it in this video, so I'll just say it here. Pretty much every single aspect of this dress had to be redone at some point. Well, here we are again. with this pattern, and I don't recall having this problem the last time when I made this. I had many problems. I have all of this extra fabric up here. That's where we're at right now. I do love the color. I love the sheen that's on it. It's so pretty. I can't believe that this was a bed sheet. And what's even crazier is that the side that I'm using as my right side was the wrong side of the sheet. So I don't know if that was like a manufacturer mistake or what, but they had the side that had this nice sheen on the wrong side of the bed sheet. It's gonna be pretty when it's finished. Basically, when I chose to remove the interfacing and go with a less stiff interfacing, it set off sort of a domino effect of other things that I wanted to fix within the bodice before I connected it to the skirt piece. One of the fixes was the darts. The other being that excessive amount of fabric that I had folded over and created a sort of strange tuck with. Some of that excessive fabric can at least partially be blamed for the fact that the bodice is actually meant to be worn with shoulder pads, and I did not want to wear shoulder pads. And with those two adjustments, I was feeling far more confident in connecting the bodice to the skirt. Place is absolute carnage. 360 degrees of carnage. We've got directions, we have piles of shirt dresses for cross-reference, we've got pattern pieces strewn about the top of the bodice. We have the one and only mock-up I have ever made, which now doubles as the cotton that I use to cover fabric when I am ironing on interfacing. Scraps, reference book, detached ring light. We've got the bottom half of the skirt, which I haven't touched in over a week. That's right, everyone. I've been working on this dress for more than a week. Pattern pieces, interfacing, another reference dress, and pins galore. Okay, let's take a look. It is looking really nice and really smart. I just, as I mentioned, underestimated how long it was going to take me, and to allow for mistakes, which are okay. You know, it happens. You have to improvise, you have to recalculate, all of those things. But it is hard when you have those things happen and you don't have a lot of time allowance and the rest of your life, and you run out of time and you know that you're supposed to be posting a video. So I really have been feeling the culmination of all of that in this project. Thanks for bearing with me, everyone. Okay. It's gonna be a little tricky to see, but look, this is your first sneak peek. I am holding everything together with these fingers. Everything is pinned. There are no buttons, and the top and the bottom are not yet sewed together, so, but here we have a sneak peek of what it's gonna be.
It's not simple to say, and most days I don't recognize me.
It always goes so much closer. Oh no. What even to say? This might be my longest project to date, and it's really because of a lack of time. I wouldn't even say it's a marathon over a sprint. It feels more like this has been an Ironman over a sprint. And not because this is a terribly complicated pattern or dress. There have just been a lot of factors in my life right now that has put me in a place where I have not had as much time to sew and to film it. And especially I like when I'm sewing to be able to just like dedicate a whole days to working on it. And that just has not been the case. So I believe this is the third week I've been working on this dress, and it's just been here and there, and it's not the way that I normally like to operate, as I said, when I'm sewing. And this has been more of a restructuring for myself, and I've had to find little pieces in my days where I could just do small things, bite-sized things. And so this dress is going to hold a lot of memories and has definitely been a learning opportunity for me in giving myself permission to take longer on this and giving myself grace to do so. Because yeah, I'm not always great at distinguishing when it's okay to let go of things and let go of timelines, and so this dress has really done that for me. This was supposed to be finished, and the whole video was supposed to be finished and uploaded for March, and here I am on April 11th, starting to finish it up. I still have to find some time to film the reveal when it's revealed. And again, that might have to wait another week just because of the sake of time. My days right now have me obligating most of my time elsewhere. So yeah, I had to let go of that idea of having this done and uploaded, video editing and everything in March, because despite my best efforts to be able to do that, the reminder that I'm human came to mind. I could have really taken all the joy out of this and made myself super miserable to hit a timeline that I put on myself, or accept that I did not know what my circumstances were going to be for March and for April, and to accept them and to carry on with my project as I can and not beat myself up about it. So I chose the latter rather than the former. The former is what is my MO. Yeah, that's where we're at with this dress. So who knew you were gonna get so much life philosophy from me in this video? All that I'm learning. Yeah, okay. Let's keep going.
The heather, but with you. Then let's go roaming through the heather on the hill.
Mr. Mays in the gloaming.
Then I can get in
final stretch of this dress had me picking out buttons, and I decided on these really pretty white, maybe off-white buttons that I had already on hand. They have this beautiful etching of a flower design on the sort of inside of the button. I just loved how delicate it looked and thought it would be a nice touch to the dress. And then for whatever reason, my sewing machine decided to just spice things up and make the buttonhole making process a little bit longer and more frustrating. I kept doing practice buttonholes that would turn out fine, and then I would go and try to do a buttonhole on the dress.
Okay, I really can't make sense of this.
And something would go wrong.
Nope, that's so wrong.
Son of a bitch.
What is going on?
So that was frustrating, to say the least. And with that, here are the finished buttonholes, and I earned every single one of them. At some point, I figured out that I could do some clasps for the skirt instead of doing buttonholes all the way down, which after you just saw my buttonhole escapade, you can imagine I was incredibly relieved to find this little out for myself. So I figured out, because the skirt was already larger and didn't meet in the center, that I could put these little clasps on the end of one of the skirt pieces and then sew the eye on the inside and then just connect it from there, and that there was enough overlap that I didn't need to do anything else. Okay, look at how much extra I have. It's practically like one of those crossover tie dresses. This goes all the way around, practically past like my side. It's like on the start of my back. And if I hook that there and button, that's just how much overlay I then have, and it really doesn't need snaps down the front on the, inside of the skirt. Like, I'm good. So excited about that discovery and not having to hand sew snaps, because this little hook and eye right here, this little guy, is my new best friend. Woohoo! Okay, now let's see. I now have the little eyelet on both sides because I was too lazy to pull this one out. I mean, it's just there now. I don't know. Okay, let's try this out. Oh, somehow, by the grace of God, that worked. Okay. Oh, the journey we went on to get here. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
As a willow in a windstorm, I'm as jumpy as a puppet on a string. I'd say that I had spring fever, but I know it isn't spring. I'm starry-eyed and vaguely discontented, like a nightingale without a song to sing. Oh, why should I have spring fever when it isn't even spring?
Thank you all so much for coming along on this journey of creating this dress. I am so grateful to have each and every one of you. Please don't forget to comment below and talk good about someone behind their back in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I would love to have you. All right, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.